أصالة عن نفسي ونيابة عن والدي ووالد والدي وأخوتي المؤمنين، قربة إلى الله تعالى. السلام عليك يا وارث آدم صفة الله، السلام عليك يا وارث نوح نبي الله، السلام عليك يا وارث إبراهيم خليل الله، السلام عليك يا وارث موسى كليم الله، السلام عليك يا وارث عيسى روح الله، السلام عليك يا وارث محمد حبيب الله، السلام عليك يا وارث أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا ابن محمد المصطفى، السلام عليك يا ابن علي المرتضى، السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء، السلام عليك يا ابن خديجة الكبرى، السلام عليك يا ثر الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور، أشهد أنك قد أقمت الصلاة وآتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وأطعت الله ورسوله حتى أتاك اليقين، فلعن الله أمة قتلت، ولعن الله أمة ظلمت، ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأصلاب الشامخة والأرحام المطهرة، لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها، ولم تلبسك من متلهمات ثيابها، وأشهد أنك قد من دعائم الدين وأركان المؤمنين، وأشهد أنك الإمام البر التقي الرضي الزكي الهادي المهدي، وأشهد أن الأئمة من ولدك كلمة التقوى وأعلام الهدى والعروة الوثقى والحجة على أهل الدنيا، وأشهد الله وملائكته وأنبياءه ورسله أني بكم مؤمن وبإيابكم موقن، بشرائع ديني وخواتيم عملي، وقلبي لقلبكم سلم، وأمري لأمركم متبع، صلوات الله عليكم وعلى أرواحكم وعلى أجسادكم وعلى أجسامكم وعلى شاهدكم وعلى غائبكم وعلى ظاهركم وعلى باطنكم جميعا شباب. بأبي أنت وأمي يا ابن رسول الله، بأبي أنت وأمي يا أبا عبد الله، لقد عظمت الرزية وجلت المصيبة بك علينا وعلى جميع أهل السماوات والأرض، فلعن الله أمة أسرجت وألجمت وتهيأت لقتالك يا مولاي، قصدت حرمك وأتيت إلى مشهدك إن شاء الله، أسأل الله بالشأن الذي لك عنده وبالمحل الذي لك لديه أن يصلي على محمد وآل محمد، وأن يجعلني معكم في الدنيا والآخرة جميعا. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. ربيتت أنا درتها. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. دعاء للشفاء مريض أبو الدكتور الله يشافيه ويعافيه إن شاء الله بحق محمد وعلى. اللهم بحق فاطمة وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها صل على محمد وآل محمد. نقرأ الآية القرآنية المباركة. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. 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 اللهم اكشف السوء عنا والبلاء. اللهم شافي كل مريض. اللهم ادخل على أهل القبور السرور. اللهم اغن كل فقير. اللهم اشفع كل جاع. اللهم اكسر كل عريان. اللهم اقضي دين كل مدين. اللهم فرج عن كل مكروب. اللهم رد كل غريب. اللهم فك كل أسير. اللهم اصلح كل فاسد من أمور المسلمين. اللهم شافي وعافي كل مريض لا سيما أبو الدكتور الله يشافي ويعافي إن شاء الله. اللهم ادخل على. اللهم شافي كل مرض. اللهم اغننا بغناك. اللهم غير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك. اللهم اقض عنا الدين واغننا من الفقر إنك على كل شيء قدير. والصلاة على محمد وآل محمد بأعلى أصواتكم تؤجرون.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صلى الله عليك يا مولاي يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك وعلى آل بيتك المظلومين المشردين عن الأوطان. صلى الله عليك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله يا غريب يا مظلوم كربلاء. يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. All my Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Holy Quran, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, إنما يوفى الصابرون أجرهم بغير حساب. Indeed, the patient ones will be paid the rewards in full without any reckoning. For the love of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam, صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. The Holy Quran and the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam have stressed a lot on the concept of patience. Because patience is a necessity when it comes to the life of a believer, life of a mu'min. It is narrated that our sixth Imam, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi afdal salati wa salam, that he said, الصبر من الإيمان بمنزلة الرأس من الجسد فإذا ذهب الرأس ذهب الجسد كذلك إذا ذهب الصبر ذهب الإيمان. Patience is to believe as the head is to the body. If the head is gone, the body will be destroyed. Likewise, if patience is gone, is vanished, then belief will also go away and is no more. The relationship between patience and faith is the same as the relationship between the head and the body. You do not see a body that is moving without a head. If a person is beheaded, then the body will not function anymore. He will die. Our fourth Imam, Imam Ali ibn al-Hussein, As-Sajjad, Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam, he said, لا من لا صبر له لا إيمان له. One who does not have patience has no faith, has no iman. The more your patience increases, the more your faith also increases. If you reflect upon the hadith of the Imam, you will notice that this is true. And you will notice how detailed and precise the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam are. Because in reality, if one has 0 degree of patience, he will literally have 0 degree of iman. Patience is required in every stage of a mu'min's life. You are required to pray 5 times a day, the 5 daily prayers. If you do not have the patience to give these few minutes of your day to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you will not be able to perform these 5 daily prayers. You will not be able to perform it properly. Our sisters in the summer who wear the hijab and bear the heat and the sweat for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to follow the footsteps of Sayyida Fatima al-Zahra salamullahi alayha and Sayyida Zainab al-Kubra salamullahi alayha. If this lady does not have patience to bear the heat in the summer, then she will not be able to practice the Islamic hijab. When we fast in the holy month of Ramadan, especially when it's in the summer, where we have to fast for 17, 18 hours or so, if one does not have patience to bear the hunger and thirst and have the willpower to stay away from all the mufattirat and so on and so forth, and not have the patience in seeing people of other faith eating and drinking in front of him, then he would not be able to offer the siyam, the fasting that is required from every Muslim. So similarly, a person who has no patience would not be able to refrain from committing sins, would not be able to refrain from disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why Imam Ali ibn al-Husayn al-Sajjad salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi tells us that if you have no patience, then you have no faith. The more you have patience, the more your faith increases, and the more your practices will increase, inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knowing the necessity of patience in a believer's life, He has mentioned the rewards of those who are patient. If you open up Surah Al-Zumar, Surah number 39, verse 10, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّمَا يُوَفَّى الصَّابِرُونَ أَجْرَهُمْ بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ. Surely, indeed, Allah will reward those who are patient. He will pay them their reward in full without reckoning. Let us look at the simple meaning of this holy verse. He is telling us that those who are patient, they will be rewarded. Now, what is the reward of those who are patient, Ya Rabbal Alameen? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the Quran, He mentions general statements, and He left it upon Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam and the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam to clarify the meanings and to give the details to these general statements and the explanation to the ayat of the Holy Quran. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, he said, مَنِ ابْتُلِيَ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ بِبَلَاءٍ فَصَبَرَ عَلَيْهِ كَانَ لَهُ مِثْلُ أَجْرِ أَلْفِ شَهِيدٍ. If a mu'min or a mu'mina that goes through a certain difficulty, that goes through a certain hardship, and he or she endures and remains patient over this hardship or difficulty, then he or she will receive the reward of 1,000 martyrs. يُوَفَّى الصَّابِرُونَ أَجْرَهُمْ. They will get their reward complete. They will get it complete, in full. Then Allah says, بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ. بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ has two possible meanings. Either one of the two, or maybe both of the meanings are can be taken together. The first meaning is that Allah will the first meaning of بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ is that Allah will reward those who are patient such a reward that if one of Allah's creation wants to come and count that reward, they would not be able to count it, because that reward is so great that it is beyond counting. The blessings that Allah will shower this believer who is patient is so great that none of Allah's creation would be able to count it, save Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is one meaning. Another meaning is that those who are patient, they will be exempted from a very difficult stage in the hereafter. This stage that each and every one of us fear on the Day of Judgment. This stage is called the stage of hisab, the stage of accountability, the stage where there is reckoning, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will question us for our deeds. He will open up the books and say, why did you do this and why didn't you do that? So on and so forth. Our fourth Imam, Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam, he says in this famous dua, Dua al-Hazin, this beautiful dua that is to be recited in the middle of the night with Salatul Layl or after Salatul Layl. He says and he teaches us a very important lesson as he speaks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, Ilahi, in sa'altani amma anta a'lamu bihi minni. Oh Allah, when you ask me about my deeds, and you are more knowledgeable of my deeds than myself. Now, Imam Zayn al-Abidin is an infallible, immaculate, sinless Imam. He does not commit sins. But this great Imam is teaching us, sinners, how to supplicate to Allah, how to pray to Allah in a way before reaching the stage of hisab. What should I say to Allah to ask Him to forgive me? for my sins. What should I do? He taught us this dua. He said, إلهي إن سألتني عما أنت أعلم به مني فإن قلت نعم فأين المهرب من عدلك وإن قلت لم أفعل قلت ألم أكن الشاهد عليك فعفوك عفوك يا مولاي قبل سرابيل القطران عفوك عفوك يا مولاي قبل جهنم والنيران عفوك عفوك يا مولاي قبل أن تغل الأيدي إلى الأعناق يا أرحم الراحمين وخير الغافرين. Oh Allah, if I tell you that I did not commit the sin, and if you tell me that you did you sin, and I say yes, then where am I going to run away from your justice, Ya Allah? And if I say that I did not commit that sin, you would say, haven't I been witnessing all your deeds? Didn't I see you doing each and every deed that you've done in this world? So what can I do now, Ya Allah? Now I say, عفوك عفوك يا مولاي قبل جهنم والنيران. Oh Allah, pardon me, forgive me before the torture and the punishment of the hellfire. The people who practice patience in their life, Allah will exempt them from that difficult stage, the stage of hisab, the stage of accountability. That is the second meaning of بغير حساب. This is why Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam said, narrating his grandfather Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, who said, if a person, those people who received the bala, those people who received Allah's tests in their life, who received hardships and difficulties in this world, they were trialed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not weigh their deeds on the mizan, on the scale, in the day of judgment, and the books of deeds will not be opened for them. What does that mean? It means that they have the green light towards paradise. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, in another hadith, he says, as-sabru kanzun min kunuzil jannah. Patience is a treasure from the treasures of paradise. What does that mean? What does this hadith imply? One of the meanings that we can conclude from this narration, from this hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, is that our deeds will take a special form in the hereafter. Basically, when we die, our deeds will take a special form. This is what our ulama call tajassud al-a'mal. If your deed is good, then it will take a form that is good and beneficial for you after you pass away. And if your deed is bad, then it will take a form that will hurt you after you pass away. Allama al-Naraqi, the author of the great akhlaqi book, Jami' al-Sa'adat, one of the important books in the subject of akhlaq, in the subjects of ethics, Islamic ethics and morals. I recommend each and every one of us to read this book, Jami' al-Sa'adat of Allama al-Naraqi. He said that these deeds that you do in this life, they will transform into the heaven and the hell that you will see on the day of judgment. So basically your deeds will transform into the heaven and the hell. When you pass away, you will see the reality of your deeds. At that moment, brothers and sisters, you're sitting in the majlis of Abi Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi afdal salati wassalam, with sincere and pure intentions, inshallah. You have come here to commemorate and remember Imam al-Husayn alayhi afdal salati wassalam. You came here to remember the tragedies of Imam al-Husayn alayhi afdal salati wassalam. You came here to receive the dua of Imam al-Sadiq, ahyu amrana rahimallah man ahya amrana. Revive our cause, may Allah have mercy upon those who revive our cause. We came here to receive that special dua from Imam al-Sadiq to all those who revived the cause of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. Of course, we all came here, inshallah, with pure and sincere intentions. If the curtain was to be removed, if we were able to see the reality of the deed that we are doing right now, we will see that ourselves sitting in Jannah. We will see ourselves sitting in paradise. Once a man, a believer, a mu'min, came to Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam. He asked him for a prayer. He said, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Mawlai, I want you to pray for me. What is the prayer that this man asked Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam? He said, Ya Sayyidi, Ya Mawlai, I want you to pray for me to enter into paradise, to enter into Jannah. What a wise person. You know that the dua of the Imam is accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he came asking the Imam that pray for me to enter into paradise so that this dua will be accepted and I will be with you in Jannah. The Imam salamullahi alayhi said that I will pray for you. Yes, but I will pray that you will not get out from paradise, that you will not leave Jannah. What does the Imam mean by this? He means that you, O Muwali, O you who believe in the wilayat of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad, alayhim afdal as-salati wa salam, you are already in heaven. You are already in Jannah, but you do not see the reality of your deed. I will pray for you that you would not leave Jannah because you are currently in heaven. So I don't want you to disbelieve in us and get out or leave Jannah. When you die, you will see the reality of your deeds. The Prophet ﷺ tells us, As-sabru kanzun min kunuzil Jannah. Patience is a treasure from the treasures of heaven. So if you practice patience in this world, then you will get the thawab, you will get the reward for that patience. And this will lead you into Jannah. Actually, it will transform into the Jannah, into the paradise that you will reside in, according to what Allama al-Naraqi has mentioned. In fact, brothers and sisters, sabr, patience, will come and help you when you are in the most need of it. When you are in need of a companion. When you need someone to be there with you. When is that day when I'm in the most need for a supporter? This will be on the first day when we are in the grave. When we go down there in the qabr, in the grave. A lot of us have attended funerals. A lot of us have attended the funerals of some brothers, some sisters who have passed away. And I advise each and every one of you to attend funerals. There are so many benefits, so many lessons that one can receive from attending funerals. Not talking about the rewards of attending the funeral of a mu'min. The rewards are great. But what we're talking about is the lessons that we can benefit from when we attend the funerals. One of the benefits is that we see death in front of us. We will reflect upon it and say, look, one day I will be that person who's in this coffin. One day I will be the one who is carried on the shoulders. One day I will be the one who is buried in that grave. You will remember death, and the remembrance of death is something that is very important. This will give us a reality check. This will remind us of our akhirah. This will make us question ourselves. What have I prepared for the grave? What have I prepared for my akhirah? What have I prepared for the day that no one will be with me? My family will leave me. My friends will leave me alone. My relatives, they'll bury me and then they will all go away. My wealth will be distributed as inheritance to my inheritors. All of my worldly connections will be severed. I will only have one person with me, I will only be with my Creator, actually. What is my relationship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Have I developed my relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What have I done for that day? Do I have a good relationship with Allah or not? We ask Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the tawfiq to prepare well for that day. Now, when I realize that I am in that dark grave alone, lonely, no one will be there with me. My offsprings, my relatives, my wealth, my worldly connections, everything will not help me at that moment. Then 2 angels of Allah will come to me. They will make it even more difficult. Munkar and Nakir. According to the riwayat of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam, they will start questioning us, but not in a normal way. In the ahadith, it says that their voices are like thunder. Many times when one hears the voice or the sound of thunder, you will get startled. Some people might cry, some people might have some fear or get scared. Their voices are like thunder, and their eyes are shining like lightning, according to what the riwayat mention. And they will ask, who is your Lord? Who is your Prophet? Who are your Imams? What is your faith? So on and so forth. Will I be able to answer or not? Isn't that something that's very important to think about? What will I do on that day? What will help me on that stage, in that stage, in that moment when I'm in the period of questioning by Munkar and Nakir? The riwayah of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam tells us, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The riwayah of the Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam tells us that the first thing that will help us is our salah, is our prayer. Salah will be standing on the right side of the believer. The question is, have I performed all my prayers? Have I performed all my salah? All the obligatory prayers, have I done them? The prayers that I have missed, did I do qada of them? Did I make them up or not? If you have done so, the salah will stand on your right side. It will help you in that day. However, if I have not done it properly, if I have not offered them, then it will say, sorry, you haven't performed your salah in this world, so I cannot help you in this stage. Salah will stand on the right side of the believer. The second thing that will help us is the zakah. Zakah will stand on the left side of the believer. When we talk about zakah, we are talking about the zakah that is obligatory on certain goods on an annual basis. Zakatul Fitra, this zakah that is to be paid on the day of Eid al-Fitr. And we're talking also about khumus. These 3 financial obligations, they all constitute the obligatory zakah that is mentioned in the Quran and that is mentioned in the riwayat of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. If we have paid all of our zakah, then very good. It will stand on our left side and help us out. However, if we haven't done it, then it will say, sorry, you haven't paid your zakah, I cannot help you at this moment. Is there another thing that can help us? The riwayah says, وَالْبِرُّ مُضِلٌّ عَلَيْهِ. The bir will be over the mu'min. Now what is bir? Bir is a general term for every good deed that one has done, especially good deeds towards other people. Birrul walidain, being good and kind to your parents. Birrul ikhwan, being good and kind to your brothers and sisters in faith. being good and kind to your family members, so on and so forth. Bir will be standing over the believer, will be over the believer. مُضِلٌّ عَلَيْهِ. If you treated your brothers and sisters well, Bir will help you out. However, if you haven't treated your brothers and sisters in faith well, then the Bir will not be able to help you out. The fourth thing that will help you out is patience. Patience will take a side, and it will say to the salah, the zakah, the bir, that go and help and defend your companion. Defend your companion. If you are unable to defend him, then I will come and defend this companion of ours. Subhanallah. Patience has more power than salah, zakah, and bir. Imam al-Sadiq salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi said, patience is the head of your religion. It's the head of your faith. Without it, we cannot do anything. We cannot actually do anything in life without patience. If you want to be successful in your academics, you need to be patient. To be able to study day and night and spend all these hours studying and working hard and so on and so forth to be successful. If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you need to be patient and give the time and the money. And how many sleepless nights are you going to have just to take care of your business and so on and so forth till you will succeed? The same thing for your akhirah. If you want to succeed in akhirah, you need to have the patience to give time, to invest time for your akhirah. How many types of patience do we have? The riwayat mention that there are 3 types of patience. There is patience during tragedies, as-sabru and al-musibah. When you are inflicted by a tragedy, by a calamity, by a difficulty, do you practice patience or not? There is also as-sabru ala ta'a, patience during obedience. And there is as-sabr ala al-ma'siyah, patience over disobedience. Let me give an example of each to clarify the different types of patience. An example of a patience during tragedy. Let's say you go through a car accident, a very bad car accident. You come out of it. Will you say, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, at least I'm alive, it could have been worse? Or will you complain unto Allah, oh Allah, why have you forsaken me? Why did this happen to me? And so on and so forth. What would you do? If you practice patience, if you say Alhamdulillah, so on and so forth, you have practiced, you have had patience during a tragedy, during a difficulty. Sabr and al-musibah. However, if you complained on Allah, then what happened? You have lost your patience. Patience over obedience. A person who wants to go to Hajj, it is obligatory to go to Hajj once in a lifetime for those who are able to. One who goes to Hajj, and those who have went to Hajj knows how difficult the a'mal of Hajj can be. The tawaf, the sa'i, rami al-jamarat, staying in Mina, in Muzdalifah, so on and so forth. Will you have the patience to do the a'mal as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet, the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam have prescribed us to do? Or will I just do it for the sake of doing it? If I do it exactly how Allah has prescribed us to do, that's very good. You have patience over ibadah, over obedience. If not, then you have lost your patience. The third type of patience is what? Patience over disobedience. If you get the chance to commit a sin, you get the opportunity to commit a sin. And we live here in the West, and we have so many opportunities to commit sins. When you get that opportunity, will you commit the sin, or will you have a strong willpower and not disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? If you have that strong willpower, if you do not disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you have patience over disobedience. However, if you have committed that sin, then you do not have that patience. A man asked, those who are standing steadfast and remain strong and have a strong willpower and do not disobey the Lord, those are the ones who will be rewarded the most. Patience over disobedience is the one that is most rewarding. Now a question might come up. Are there role models that Allah has placed for us with regards to patience? Who taught us patience? So that they can be a great example for us to learn how to become patient? Yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided numerous role models who taught us how to be patient. They are actually the peak of patience. They showed how human beings can be patient and tough at the toughest and the most difficult of circumstances. Take a look at Prophet Nuh alayhi salam. Prophet Nuh, who lived for how many years? 2,300 years, according to many narrations. This was how long Nuh alayhi salam lived in this world. 2,300 years. Alaykum as-salam rahmatullah. 850 years he lived before starting his mission. Then 950 years he was preaching to the people. And for 500 years he lived after the flood. Nuh alayhi salam, he called his people towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, towards practicing and going on the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For how many years? 950 years. Brothers and sisters, it's easy to utter it, but let's think about it for a bit. Let's say you meet an atheist and you want to prove to him the existence of Allah. So you sit with him for the first day and you bring this amazing argument, proof, the logical proof that Allah exists. He is not convinced. You come the second day with another perfect argument and proof. Still does not accept. The third day, the fourth day, the fifth day, each and every day you're bringing a strong proof for the existence of God. He's still not convinced. After a week or two, what are you going to say? Baba lakum dinakum waliya din. You have your faith and I have mine. I'm not going to waste my time trying to convince someone who doesn't want to be convinced. It's going to be difficult. Nuh alayhi salam called his people for 950 years, 9.5 centuries, without losing patience, without getting bored, without saying that, losing hope in guiding them. Even though the number of people who accepted the message of Nuh, they're very little. In the riwayat it mentions less than 100. Imagine 9.5 centuries of preaching the word of Allah, less than 100 people accept the message. And it is Nuh alayhi salam, a prophet of Allah who is perfect from all aspects. Salih alayhi salam, the prophet of Allah, he started preaching the message when he was 16 years old, till he passed away at the age of 120 years. 104 years he's been calling his people, his nation, to the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He never got bored, he never got tired, he never lost patience, he never lost hope. Those are great role models for patience. But, brothers and sisters, when the topic of sabr, when the topic of patience comes up, usually one name also comes up with it. And it is Ayyub, the prophet of Allah, alayhi salam. Ayyub was afflicted with many tragedies, with many calamities. He faced many hardships. But he was a sincere prophet of Allah. He comes from the lineage of Ishaq alayhi salam, according to some narrations. He was very kind to everyone, to friends and foes, to animals, to all of Allah's creation. His father was extremely rich. He was wealthy. And Ayyub alayhi salam inherited his father's fortune when he passed away. So we can say that Ayyub was a very wealthy person. Financially, he was well off. Then he went to marry, and he married a lady by the name of Rahma. Rahma was the daughter of a prophet named Ephraim, who was the son of Prophet Yusuf, Prophet Joseph alayhi salam. So Rahma is the granddaughter of Yusuf alayhi salam. Yusuf was known for his handsomeness. He was a very handsome person. She had the looks of her grandfather. So she was a beautiful lady. She was a beautiful lady from the outside and a beautiful lady from the inside as well. So we can say Ayyub alayhi salam had so many blessings. He was well off financially. He was wealthy. He had a lot of money, a big house, many children, a good wife. You know, what more can you ask for? He had everything. He was thankful to Allah for all that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَا إِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. If you thank Allah, He will increase His rizq and sustenance on you. Now when we think of the story of Ayyub alayhi salam, we think that the test actually started when he started losing his blessings. Actually, the test started from day number 1. When he had these blessings, how did he spend them? When you have blessings, how do you spend them? Do you pay your obligatory financial dues? Do you help the poor and the needy? Do you donate to causes that benefit and serve humanity and help humanity? So on and so forth. Or you will not pay a penny. What will you do? Will you be kind towards others? Or will you be arrogant? Many people turn or become arrogant because of wealth. Since we mentioned the topic of arrogance, have you heard the tradition of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam when he was preaching to a rich person, a rich man? He was sitting in front of him in the mosque of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. Then a poor brother entered into the mosque and sat beside his rich brother in Islam. When that poor person sat beside him, the rich person, he started tucking in his clothes, so that his clothes would not touch the clothes of the poor person. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam noticed this act. So he asked this person, perhaps you were afraid that you will be afflicted with his poverty. His poverty will come to you. So you did what you did. He's like, no, Ya Rasulullah, I'm not afraid of that. He said, then perhaps you're afraid some of your riches will fly to him. So you tucked in your clothes and so on. He said, no, Ya Rasulullah. He said, maybe then you feared that your clothes will become dirty if he touches them, or if his clothes, the poor person's clothes will touch your clothes. He said, no, Ya Rasulullah. Rasulullah then told him, then why did you do what you just did? That man realized his mistake. So he said, Ya Rasulullah, I admit, I've done the most unwanted thing to do. I've done a mistake. I've done something that is wrong. I have ill-treated my Muslim brother. And I want to be forgiven. So I will donate half of my wealth to this poor brother of mine, so that I can be forgiven for that. This poor person immediately stood up and said, Ya Rasulullah, I refuse the offer. Now people who were sitting, they said, what, is he a fool? This man is poor. Now he is going to become a rich person, and he's refusing the offer. What's wrong with this person? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, can you explain why do you refuse the offer? The man said, I refuse the offer because I am afraid that I will become arrogant because of my wealth. And I will also ill-treat my Muslim brothers in the same manner that this man ill-treated me. Arrogance is a vice that can lead a person to hellfire. The problem of Satan is what? Arrogance. He reached to the state of the angels. And then he became cursed by Allah. Why? Because he was arrogant. He refused to bow down to Adam. Why? Because of arrogance. Arrogance can lead a person from the highest levels of Jannah to the lowest pits of hellfire. That man feared arrogance due to wealth. So wealth can make a person arrogant and it can make a person humble. Ayyub, salamullahi alayhi, was known for his humility. He was very humble, although he was very wealthy. Then, as you know the story, many trials and tests and hardships, calamities that Ayyub salamullahi alayhi had to face. He lost his wealth, he lost his children, he lost everything that he had. Even his companions, those who used to hang out around him, they started leaving him one by one because they were afraid that poverty will afflict them, the poverty of Ayyub, or the trials of Ayyub will afflict them. So they started leaving him one by one, till only one companion remained with him. Who is this companion? His beloved wife, Rahmah. She was truly a rahmah for him. She remained with him during these tough and difficult circumstances. She did not leave him. He supplicated to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and after years and years of difficulties, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lifted these difficulties, and then, his situation turned around and he became better, and then he got his wealth again, and so on and so forth. Once Ayyub was asked, what was the hardest thing that you went through during this test? Is it the loss of your children? Is it the loss of your wealth? Is it the loss of your status? The loss of your companions? What was the most difficult thing that you faced? Guess what did Ayyub say? He said the most difficult thing was my enemies were rejoicing over my misfortune. Shamatatul a'da. Now you know how painful was it for Abi Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam when he put his hand on his back after the martyrdom of his brother Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas alayhi salam. What did he say? الآن انكسر ظهري. الآن شمت بي عدو. Now my backbone has broken. Now my enemies are rejoicing over my misfortune. Brothers and sisters, how painful was it for Sayyida Zainab salamullahi alayha when she saw the enemies rejoicing over the tragedies that befell her and the daughters of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa shamatatul a'da. This is the hardest part. The hardest part was when the enemies were rejoicing at the misfortunes. Ayyub, Ya Nabi Allah, you have lost your wealth, you have lost your health, you have lost your children, your companions, and you have remained patient. But forgive me, Ya Ayyub, the patience of Imam al-Hussein and Sayyida Zainab that is practiced in Karbala is much greater. Imam Hussein gave everything for the sake of Allah. He gave his wealth, he gave his family members, he gave his children, his companions. He sacrificed his own self for the sake of Allah. Just look at the tragedy of his 6-month-old baby, Abdullah al-Radi, who was killed by an arrow that entered his neck from one side and came out from the other, in the lap of his father, Abi Abdullah al-Hussein. What did the Imam say when he saw that tragedy with his own eyes? هون ما نزل بي أنه بعين الله، هون علي ما نزل بي أنه بعين الله. I find solace in the fact that what has befallen me is in the way of Allah. All kinds of tragedies, all kinds of calamities Abi Abdullah al-Hussein has faced and seen. This is why we come here every Muharram, to commemorate the tragedy of Imam al-Hussein, to commemorate the cause of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein, to remember you, Ya Aba Abdullah. What tragedy should I mention? What tragedy should I cry for? One of the tragedies that befell our master Abi Abdullah al-Hussein, which is between him and Sayyid Zainab. This tragedy really shudders the heart. It is narrated that Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam remained lying on the sand of Karbala for a long while. The Imam made a cushion from sand to rest. This made some of the enemies think that the Imam is tricking them or has a plot for them. So they said, إِنَّ الْحُسَيْنَ لَيْسَ فِيهِ شَيْءٍ. Nothing's wrong with Hussein. Some of them said, no, look, Hussein is weakened from his wounds. Hundreds of wounds were on the body of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein. He can't stand anymore. Others said, إِنَّ الرَّجُلَ لَغَيُورٌ إِذَا أَرَدْتُمْ أَن تَعْرِفُوا حَالَهُ فَاهْجِمُوا عَلَى مُخَيَّمِهِ. The man is protective of his family. The man cares for his family. If you want to know his state, then attack his camp, attack his women and children, threaten them. Ajarakum Allah. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam was lying on the plains of Karbala. Umar ibn Asad and his group, they attacked the camp. They frightened the women and children. Who came out? Sayyida Zainab came out, calling out to the Imam Salamullahi alayh. She stood on the hill. She stood on a Tell Zainabi. Then she called out the Imam with a voice that breaks the heart. Ya ibn Ummi, of my mother, oh Hussein, Ya Habibi, Ya Hussein, oh my beloved one, oh Hussein, in kunta hayyan fa'adrikna. هجمت علينا. If you are alive, then help us. Come to our rescue, for the horsemen have attacked us. وإن كنت ميتا فأمرنا وأمرك إلى الله. And if you are dead, if you have passed away, then your case and our case is with Allah. When Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam heard the voice of his sister Zainab, he stood, but he was weakened by the wounds, so he fell on his blessed face. Then he stood again, but he fell on his face again. Imam al-Hussein then stood for a third time, but he was really weakened by the wounds. He fell on his face again. Then he called out, O followers of Abu Sufyan's progeny, إن لم يكن لكم دين وكنتم لا تخافون المعاد فكونوا أحرارا في دنياكم. If you have no faith, if you do not fear the day of judgment, torment, at least be free in this world and recall your ancestry if you claim to be Arabs. Shimr said, what are you saying, O son of Fatima? He said, أنا الذي أقاتلكم والنساء ليس عليهن جناح. I am the one who is fighting you. The women are not at fault. So long as I am alive, forbid your evil, arrogant dogs from harassing my woman. Shimr said, أجركم Allah. Leave the man's woman and attack him. The horses, the men, they directed toward the Imam Salamullahi alayh. على التراب طايح ونايم جريح وظلت جروحه يا ويلي دم تسيح وبهذا الحال لنزنا بتصيح قوم يا ابن الفحل واحمل عايلة هجمت علينا ترى يا خيولي العدا وصارت خيامك يا خويا مفرهدة هذا بينا انصار وعلنا يسدى وابنك السجاد يا خويا انولد وصاحت روحي ما زهت ساعة وصاحت المثلي منسبة حرة وصاحت على التل وقفت زينة وصاحت الهبة ويا حسين خدر الفاطمي يا انهبة ويا حسين خدر لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل بيت رسول الله أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. Let us raise our hands for dua. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إنا نسألك وندعوك بأحب الخلق إليك محمد وعلي وفاطمة والحسن والحسين والتسعة المعصومين من ذرية الحسين يا الله. O Allah, hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time. Protect him, Ya Allah. Instill happiness in his heart. Relieve him from all his worries. Protect him, Ya Allah. Protect all the mu'mineen and mu'minat around the globe, Ya Allah. O Allah, forgive us for our sins. Forgive us for our shortcomings. We have come here in the majlis of Abi Abdullah al-Husayn and sincerely repent to you. Astaghfirullah Rabbi wa atubu ilayh. Oh Allah, heal our sick family members, heal our sick friends, heal our sick community members, heal all the sick mu'mineen and mu'minat. By the right of the one who was sick in Karbala, our fourth Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam. Oh Allah, answer the needs of all the mu'mineen and mu'minat. If you have a need, ask it right now, with the sincerity that is in your heart, with the blessing of the majlis of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein. Inshallah, your needs will be answered. اللهم اقض حاجة كل محتاج بجاه باب الحوائج إليك بالفضل العباس عليه السلام. Oh Allah, make us steadfast on the religion of Islam. Make us true followers of Amir al-Mu'mineen عليه السلام. يا الله يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. O Allah, hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time. Grant us the tawfiq to be amongst his sincere helpers, his sincere supporters, and his sincere servants, Ya Allah. Let us end with the recitation of Dua al-Hujjah, Dua al-Faraj. Let's all stand up facing the Qibla. Let's recite together. Allahumma kun liwaliyika al-Hujjat ibn al-Hassan salawatuka alayhi wa ala abaihi fi hadhihi sa'a wa fi kulli sa'a waliyan تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات نهدي إليهم جميعا ثواب الفاتحة تسبقها صلوات.